I have likely never been as excited as I am to have received these painted miniatures with respect to any board game thing that has ever come to my house. I don't know if I have been this dumbfounded, speechless, just impressed with what came in the mail. This is Oathsworn. These are the 12 heroes or Oathsworn members that you can play as. The allies, the summons, or the creature aids that you can have, and then the first boss, the Broodmother, that you've seen in promotional images and also in the rule book. It's the one that is not really spoiling anything because it's the one that's shown all the time. I reached out a while ago to Jules Watson from the Board Game Barbecue. So if you're not familiar with Board Game Barbecue, it is an Australian podcast of board game addicts who do not claim to be experts, but are one of the most wholesome, happy, awesome group of people that I know in the board game space. And Jules Watson is one of them. He is a member of that podcast team, but he is also, on the side, a phenomenal miniature painter. So I reached out to him and I said, hey, what would it take for us to coordinate you painting Oathsworn miniatures for me? And he said, not too much, let's get this thing started. I sent him my extra copy of Oathsworn to Australia so that he could have the game and paint a secondary set of miniatures, and then we could swap. I would send him my lifeless, dull gray ones, and he would send me back these pure, hallucinogenic visages and portals into a new gaming world. They're remarkable. They're some of the best detail I've seen in miniatures, and I cannot wait to play and see them on the table in action. I don't have the camera equipment to show you in detail the awesomeness that is right here. I could throw it up on the top cam and hold it up in quiet repose while you check it out, but it's just not going to show you the details. So what I am going to do is I'm going to show it to the front cam, and as I show each one to the front cam, I'm going to splice in some photos from the professional photography that Jules Watson did. Just so I can give a shout out to Jules even more than I'm trying to do right now, I'm going to include the link to his website that he's got. And if you're ever interested in using his services like I used his services, go ahead and reach out to him because I do not regret this for an instance. To be fair, when you contract people to do art like this, it's expensive. It's expensive because of the amount of man hours that go in, because of the amount of talent that people have when you're painting at this level of detail. It is a luxury. It is not something that you have to do. But now that I have done it, I am so happy that I did because this has brought the game to life in a way that previously it did not have that. I mean, this is an immersive game. It is an atmospheric experience when you are playing Oathsworn. But to see this really come to life makes me understand so much more why miniature painters and miniature painters who then proceed to play with what they've done are as passionate and, feverish about doing this prior to playing, because it really does evoke a completely different feeling. So I'm very happy about this. I'm going to start showing you guys the individual miniatures, talking about them, and then throwing up those images so you can see in detail what I'm currently looking at. This is the Broodmother. This is the big mama jama. This is the terrifying tyrant of rodentry. Which is totally a word. That is totally a word. If you've seen Glass Onion on Netflix, it's totally a word. Miles Braun said it. So this is the big Broodmother. She's the first main boss that you encounter. She's terrifying. She's got little miniature rats on top of it. What I love that Jules did with this particular one is he did something that I haven't seen as many of the miniature painters do, and painted all of the rats on the back different colors, which really make them separate and don't seem like a homogeneous blob, and they seem much more like a thriving, swarm of little creatures that are on top of the back of this absolute brute of a Broodmother. So really excited about this. Love the directional pop of that red right there on the base, so facing, which is important in Oathsworn. And yeah, just an incredible way to bring people into the first chapter or first encounter of the game with this Broodmother. So in the front row here, I've got the 12 Oathsworn members. Right here you've got the ranged character, the Huntress. There is an armory box option for Oathsworn where you can actually like take off the arms and body parts of a lot of these heroes or characters and build out different weapons and stuff like that to match items that you might give them in the game. But I kind of just like the original look that all of them have, and now that they're painted, I just want to keep them the same. But you can see, looks like all of the, grasping vines all over her body, and then has that bow and arrow there. So really, really cool. This is the, I think it's the Huntress, but now I don't think it is actually, because I think this might be the Huntress. I'm losing. No, this is the Ranger. This is the Ranger, guys. Ignore me. Okay, next up we've got the Penitent, which has got this massive kite shield with a sword and a book on it, and then a flail, like a chained mace that is in the air right now. I love what Jules did with this because he gave like the tattered parchment paper that is pinned to that coat of armors is like that aged scripted paper, and it's hanging down in like tattered remnants while being pinned to the armor. So I really love the contrast of the red, the faded ancient scrolls, and then the silver armor. Really love all of that detail there. This is the Penitent. Then you have the Huntress here, who has 2 different hawks which go along with her. And I mean, I love the different dynamic of the darker and lighter feathers that are on the underside of these like falcons or hawks' wings. Absolutely love them. The 2 hawks are in different positions or angles or postures, and so you can see kind of like the underside of that particular hawk there. So you got 2 hawks, awesome talons, and then the Huntress there directing her winged friends onward to mess with people. Then you've got the Harbinger. The Harbinger is visually one of the like most stand out characters because of like the intense purple, the white, and just that contrast of like pop of color against people that are typically, in clothes that would blend well in a, forest or wooded environment. And so this is a very vibrant color pick, and I very much like how the Harbinger looks here. Then after that, you have, oh goodness, what are you called again? I can't remember what you are called. This is kind of like the forest, like druidish character. I cannot remember what her name is right now, or what this character's like class identification is, but they've got all of these different like bio turrets and these, animate defenses that they can rely on. And so you have all of these crazy elements that this particular character can bring into play. And so definitely one of the more complex characters in the game, but I think has a lot of potential for excitement. And then you've got the Cur here, styled visually as kind of like a classic backstabbing, rogue. And I love the double daggers here. The Cur has some of the most enjoyable armory like weapon switch outs that you can do, but I really love like this leaping posture that they have, like coming off of the rock and slicing down onto an enemy. So that's the first 6. The second 6, we'll start off with the Witch here. So the Witch you're going to be able to see is an AoE spellcaster. So they have stuff like fireballs. They have different elements that they can cast with, whether it's water or fire. But I really like this kind of like leaning in and using the spellcasting staff or kind of like sorcery styled two-handed weapon there. But I also like that it's got the lantern because of like the darkness that is synonymous with the Oathsworn world with the deep woods. I like the idea of illuminating the darkness there. Then you've got the Ursus Warbear, just an absolute titan of a miniature with a huge war axe. And I love the contrast of the white fur against the kind of like stone or steel inscribed runic armor. That's really, really cool. Seeing all those runes etched in there is really awesome. And then like that tattered blue, waste material that flows off of the armor there. So really like the Ursus Warbear. And then you have the Warden, which pairs really well with the Witch in terms of their combat style. But I like how like burnished gold, bronze armor with, you have that pauldron of that huge lion on it, and then I like the contrast of the white hair, the red cape, and then that very long blade. This is not the Warden. I'm completely wrong. This is the blade. The Warden is on the end there, who has some similar stylings in terms of the look of it, but this is the blade, which, I'm just completely failing to even know what I'm talking about here. But I love how the blade's armor works. Looks really, really, really cool. Super excited about that. And just to show off the Warden on the end, this is the contrast here, but they do have a similar styling. I really love this red, almost, red war-torn wooden section of the kite shield that shows damage there. And then, again, you have that kind of like burnished gold or bronze armor with the red-styled cape and, the white hair to show kind of like a veteran soldier here. So the blade and the Warden have similar stylings. But really, really like that. And then you've got the Priest here. The Priest is kind of like a support / tank. Can take some hits, but also dish out some healing and some ranged, buffs going on. So I like the Priest. I love kind of going back to the color scheming of the Harbinger. I really like the purple cloak there, along with this huge, like, great maul. I love that massive, like, warhammer that you've got going on there. So the Priest is one of my favorite characters. I just like this kind of grizzled old religious character who can bring a beat down. If you want to look at like human muscle tone and all of that style, the Exile is the one to check out. Like the very kind of classic barbarian look. You've got a lot of like bone accoutrement to the armor there, like a lot of stylings that show off tusks, show off different bones from different kills and all that. And then dual wielding 2 big axes. Not as giant as the Ursus Warbear, but still pretty hefty in terms of the damage that it can do. But you can see kind of all the muscling that goes on there. So really like the Exile as well. And then probably one of my favorite elements are these allies that are in here, because what Jules did was create that awesome like patterned coat. I'm trying to think of the name of it. I think it begins with like a P or something. But like these coats that like go into battle, and he did an insane like stippling or patterned job, really popping every single square on those elements. So really, really, really like those. I love those. And that's pretty much everything. There's a few more of these kind of like biotic auto turrets that we've got there. But for the most part, that is everything that I have gotten painted. I'm in love with it. I think it's an incredible job. Again, I'm going to link Jules' website down there, so if you want to check out, he's got insane photos that he's done for Unsettled by Orange Nebula and for Blood Rage from Simon. Just really, really exceptional painting. So this is probably my favorite thing I've seen that I've gotten at my house in terms of just a deluxeification. It's ridiculous. If you paint minis, let me know what you think of the quality of what Jules has done here. If you have ever thought about possibly getting this done for some of your games, which ones? Because I'm also thinking of other games now that I'm like, oh man, I wish that was painted as well. This really kicks it up a notch in terms of immersive like gameplay experiences because of seeing them all come to life. They're no longer that flat, kind of dull gray look. They all have a lot of like dynamic details to them and a lot of nuance to how they've been brought to life as characters. So cannot wait to play this now. I've kind of been waiting to jump back into Oathsworn, and I wanted to kind of see if I could hold out long enough to get these back to my house, and now I cannot wait to play again. Let me know what you guys think. I hope you have a good one, and I've got some pretty things now at my house. Satisfied timestamp. See you guys next time.